What's up? This is Justin Pollock, and today we're going to be going over homework number 13. On to question number 1. Question number 1 says, how does the role functioning of individual group members either help or damage a group's ability to achieve its purpose? I feel like the role functioning can really help the group achieve the desired goal if everybody's on the same page. And with that being said, more work will get done in a quicker amount of time if everybody still stays on the same page. And if everybody's not on the same page, then that could cause tension in the group, which could slow down the entire process. Then it says, discuss specific examples of helpful role behaviors that you have experienced in groups and behaviors that worked against the group's effectiveness. One example, when I was doing a project last fall, I had a group project with another girl, and we decided I do have to work and she do have to work, and I finished my part a whole lot earlier, and the day before it was due, I just wanted to go check it to make sure everything was good, and I went on there, and it was only my stuff still on there. So I started messaging and calling the other girl in the group, and she just would not answer me. So then I had to present the project the next day, so I was like, well, I'm just going to have to do it. So I ended up doing the whole thing. And that was the bad example, that worked against the group effectiveness. And the one that helped was actually this semester, where we did the group discussions where we had to teach, and where I was with Amanda. And Amanda and I literally met, and we sat down and decided exactly what we were going to do. We said exactly what parts we were going to do and when we were going to do them. And we did it and got it done, and it went smoothly, and we ended up getting an A. So, as far as I know, that worked out pretty good. Then it says, what peer leader behaviors could be useful in this process? I think the main peer leader behavior that could be useful is making smart decisions. Because if you talk as a group and decide together of who does what in the process, then it'll lead to a better outcome in the end, and that'll overall get rid of tension and just help you get it done faster as well. Now on to question number 2. Question number 2 says, discuss some findings from the 2 studies featured in the New York Times article. Some of the findings in the article were that they set people up and spread them out in groups, as you know, and they did experiments of who did better in certain situations, and they did a test on everybody's IQ, and the people with the lower IQ ended up scoring higher in the group experiment. So that was pretty interesting. And another thing that was found in the group, that the groups with more women excelled more than the ones with more men. That makes sense. So basically, more women was more successful, and that was pretty interesting, I thought. Then in the second experiment, they did an experiment to see. They split them up in the groups, and they did some they were face to face, and then some where they did it online to see if it made a difference. And pretty much the same ones that exceeded before exceeded again. I guess because they had the better overall communication. And and then I said here, overall they ended up realizing that the groups that did work together did better than the groups where 1 or 2 people took over the whole group. So that was the overall finding of those experiments. Then it says, what are the findings from these studies? Tell us about the characteristics of effective teams virtually and in person. I said that the same outcome can be gotten if everybody works together and does the same thing, online or face to face. So basically, as long as they keep working together and everybody's on the same page, it can be done just as quick and just as good, as long as they're still on the same page. Now on to question number 3. Question number 3 says, how do our previous modules on, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, the 5 practices of exemplary leadership connect and relate to peer leadership in groups and teams? I think all the practices connect with this because they're all being used in the groups or team situations. So then I gave right here some examples. I said you model the way when you are part of the group, because when you do your part, you motivate everybody else to do theirs too. You inspire shared vision when everybody decides on the task that they will do. You challenge the process because everybody gangs up on the exact task, and once they do that, they challenge the time that it should take to get it done. Once they all do it together, to get it done shorter, so they're challenging the time that it should take. You also enable others to act by showing you do your part in the process, kind of like model the way. And lastly, you encourage the heart by giving all you have at your task. All these are directly related to being successful in the group process, I think. Now, on to question number 4, I chose to do the Monsters Do on Maple Street because that's what I watched. Then it says, what is the central message of the Twilight Zone episode? I think this show is showing examples of people using stereotypes and turning back on others when everybody's confused, just to show an example of what not to do in the situations. Then it says, how could this relate to the part of the module discussing cultural insensitivities such as bias, discrimination, stereotype? I guess it relates to the module because it talks about discriminating others and overall looking at people in a different way. Being what happened in this episode, everybody started turning their backs on each other and pointing fingers when everything went down. So I think that just relates directly with saying what not to do in this situation. It's question number 5. Question number 5 says, what does it mean to design spaces to create community? I think this means just to make a place where people in a group can feel comfortable and feel like they're included in what's going on in the situation. Then it says, how does this relate to diversity and inclusion? I think it relates to that because it's saying even if the people in the group are different, you should still trust and connect with those and make them included in the activity that's going on. Then it says, please use some examples. One example that I liked in the Courage Way was at the very beginning. It talked about how when Laylene the rector lady, or man, I don't even know, but when they became president in 2014 of the seminary place, she made it to where in the dining hall that all different sexes, races, sexualities, and etc. were invited to, so that there was a wide variety of people to interact with, so it doesn't look like there was just one set of people there. It was all kinds of different people there, so it looked different. And then it says, have you ever experienced a physical place where you did not feel welcome? If so, what was it like? I use the example about my senior year around this time, actually around, it was right around January or so, December, January. I was going on football visits everywhere before I made my decision, and I went to some HBCU. I'm not going to say the name of the school, but I went to HBCU on a visit, and as soon as I got out the vehicle, it was just like everybody just turned and looked at me and stopped what they were doing. It was just like really different. So yeah, they looked at me like I was crazy, me and my family. So I thought that was really, really weird, and it just did not make me feel welcome, because if I was welcome, they wouldn't have looked at me like I was different. That makes sense. So it wasn't a good, and how I felt, it just made me want to leave as soon as I realized that. So that was a big experience for me of not being welcome.